Welcome to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP. In today's topic, two Caucasian women search for specifically Black folks to harm in their roles. Yes. This is definitely not some Play-Doh type of game scenario. In this particular topic of these two particular Caucasian women that by their demonic actions of racial racism, terrorism, they assisted with the help of some others. I get to that in a second, where they specifically sought out Black folks, specifically Black males, to take the life of. Now, again, like anything else, there are some good people and some bad people. All right. That's infantile. That should be almost logical common sense. The problem is that there are, unfortunately, multi-millions within American Black culture that still have some of the most openness to just act like, oh my goodness, people are not born innate evil. Well, that's logical sense too. But at the same time, in historical context, who have been the person who has been the most violent, right? And who has been what type of women who have been the ones who have act like chameleons and brought so much turmoil and violence and fatalities and hurt and Black pain. Numbers of women within the predominant culture, the ones it applies to. But again, this system is like this. Or should I say, numbers of the feminists are like this. When they're like, numbers of the Negroes, they still don't get it. This is how they think. They say that the Negroes don't get it. We're not angelic, but they still by the millions keep thinking we are collectively. So the story goes in this situation, two Mississippi women, Caucasian women, were sentenced for their roles in conspiracy to commit racially motivated assaults, specifically toward American Blacks, which culminated in the unaliving of an American Black man that was ran over by a truck. The story goes on this is that Shelby Brooke Richards, 21, of Pearl, Mississippi, and Sarah Adelia Graves, 22, of Crystal Springs, Mississippi, were sentenced for their roles in a federal hate crime conspiracy involving racially motivated assaults, culminating in the unalivement of James Craig Anderson, an American Black man, in the summer of, watch this, because remember, they like this system continuously tells American Blacks, oh, stop talking about the past, right? While the past keeps happening daily toward American Blacks. This happened in the summer of 2011. It's 2024. What has changed about racial racism, terrorism toward American Blacks? Has it been slow paced? No. This is why it's so important of the power of the past, right? This happened again in summer 2011. Richards had previously pleaded guilty to one count of conspiracy and one count of something, misprision or something, Misprison, for her role in the conspiracy and the cover up. Graves previously pleaded guilty to one count of conspiracy for her role. Richards was sentenced to 96 months in prison, and Graves was sentenced to 60 months in prison. Right? Now, Shelby Brooks Richards was 21, and Sarah Adelia Graves, they were 22. But people keep trying to tell American blacks to put things in the past. Oh, that's a long time ago. Things a lot more different. And in this situation, these racial racism, by their actions, racial racism terrorists, were only 21 and 22, which are still obviously grown. But watch when I read a little bit later on that they start making excuses. This is the chameleon tears, right? That's caused a lot of black pain, right? 6 other defendants in related cases, Detmon, this is like the guy, 22. This guy named Rice, 22. Wade, 23. Gaskamp, 22. Dominic, 23. Montgomery, 25. Were previously sentenced to 600 months, 220 months, 78 months, 48 months, 48 months, 224 months, respectively, for their roles in the conspiracy. 2 other defendants involved in the related cases, Blade Lack, 21, and Rice, another Rice, 24, of this Brandon, Mississippi. They were still waiting sentence at that time. You see his age bracket, they were basically in their 20s. But again, the system of supremacy, which is the most awesome mental manipulation force that's ever existed, continue to keep telling bother millions of American blacks to stop talking about the past. So in this situation, in this scenario, were they looking specifically for Palestinians? I don't think so. Were they looking for Ukrainians? I don't think so. Were they looking for border breakers? I don't think so. Were they looking for Jewish people? I don't think so. Were they looking for numbers of Asian people? What that's supposed to mean, because Asia is the continent. I don't think so. You get the point, right? They were specifically looking for American blacks. Let me read you something about that also. At approximately 5 a.m., the 4 occupants of the Jeep spotted Anderson in a motel parking lot off Ellis Avenue. They decided that Anderson would be a good target for an assault, racial racism, anti-black assault, by the way, because he was Black American. Let me read this again. These racial racism terrorists, decided that Anderson would be a good target for an assault because he was Black American. Is that not clear enough? Because he appeared to be intoxicated. Rice and Blaylock got out of the Jeep to distract Anderson while they waited for Richards, Graves, which are those 2 Caucasian women, and Detmon to arrive. After Richardson, Graves, and Detmon arrived in this particular truck, Rice and Detmon physically assaulted Anderson. After the assault, the 4 occupants of the Jeep left the motel parking lot in the Jeep. Detmon then deliberately used his truck to run over Anderson, causing injuries which resulted in Anderson's death. But again, means within American blacks are told to forget about the past, right? Let me show you something. I'm gonna see how many people would probably catch this. Let me show you something. Mm-hmm. Now this is the past too, right? You see the Confederate flags all over the place. This is 1948. See at the bottom, Dixiecrats Convention, Southern States, 1948. Do you not sit there and see Confederate flags still going different places in 2024? Yes. What, you think there's only a certain amount of males that sit there and show those kind of things? Of course not. How many women within certain parts of Padambe's culture also are about those Confederate flags, right? Huh? Oh, but this I want to show you also. Look at this picture. Do you sit there and see something? You see something here? Look at you see on the right side in between those two males, that Caucasian woman, and she what is holding up the Caucasian flag. Oh my goodness, right? But again, they keep people keep trying to tell American blacks, hey, you don't see what you don't see. Right? And that's understandable, right? Because unfortunately, there's a certain numbers within American blacks that have been mentally black pained. Right? It's just where other different cultures and backgrounds, like, no, 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 no. They're gonna talk about their history, they're gonna talk about the past. They're not gonna be, lulled into some feeling guilty not to talk about numbers of people doing certain numbers of them wrong. They're not gonna be guilty like that. But something about within numbers of American blacks are just guilty to stop to act like that for last 3 or 4 centuries, things have changed. And of course it has not, right? It has not. But you see in this picture, you see this particular Caucasian woman about this situation. Because again, like anything else, there are good ones, there are good people and bad people, right? So let's not get that confused. Because we really want to play that tactic. You can really say, wait a minute now, who were the some of the people back in civil rights times and even certain times, 21st century, which is very small amount. Which type of personnel that you would see more than other cultures? Certain ones, very minuscule within certain parts of the Panamese culture, who would be like, hey, now that's kind of wrong what people have done to the American black people, right? So if we really want to play that game, there are certain people who say, wait a minute now, it wasn't all these other different cultures and backgrounds, especially in the civil rights times, that was sitting there, at least trying to sit there and act like that they was trying to care about American blacks. Because many other cultures and backgrounds didn't even exist in this country of America. And many others, their population was so minuscule, it's not even worth even talking about. So we're not going to play that tactic, but we're not going to minimize it. But anyway, the next video I want to show you is that this is again from 1948 elections. I think it was Harris Truman and somebody else and whatever it was at the election time frame. And this was this particular guy who became a South Carolina governor, right?
Who walked out of the Democratic convention formed their own party.
The Southern revolt against President Truman reaches its climax at Birmingham under the states' rights banner.
The so-called Dixiecrats nominated the South Carolina governor Strom Thurmond as their presidential candidate.
There's not enough troops in the army to force the Southern people to break down segregation and admit the Negroes into our theaters, into our swimming pools, into our homes, and into our churches.
What did it say? Good evening, CP. These women have been the enemy of BP for 5 years. Well, yes, there have been numbers of ones who have been doing that. And this is why, again, I have to relay over that it cannot be misunderstood that for the collective, that's what numbers of ones within the Panama-based culture have been bad towards certain numbers of people within American black culture. And this is why, again, very few numbers of women within the Panama-based culture that has tried to be around American blacks and tried to be like, hey, this is wrong what they're doing to the American blacks, right? But that is a very small amount, which still in the 21st century, right? And this is why after the elections of Trump, that you still have certain numbers of women within the Panama-based culture who were the leaders of trying to make other people feel guilty, right? Just like when the 4B movement that came out that started in South Korea, the tenets of them about not having sex with men and not don't have babies with men and all this other nonsense stuff, right? That was from certain women of South Carolina on that situation, right? Excuse me, they started from South Korean numbers of women who got those tenets of nonsensical, misogynistic hatred of males. They got that from certain numbers of women within the Panamese culture who don't want to be told what to do on that situation. So this other particular video, I guess in closing out, is again, it is about the power of history and trying to use some logic on that because nothing has changed. And unfortunately, multi means within American Black culture still just haven't got it through the numbers of people's mentality that you have constantly got to be on guard. And many other cultures and backgrounds, and the ones this applies to, are not trying to be friends to numbers of American Blacks, right? So this is the last video I want to show you.
My way.
Mm.
Racism itself is an insane proposition. You know, what is racism? White supremacy. What is white supremacy? Mistreating people or treating people like they're criminals because of color. Also, you have, you know, people in very high positions who say that if you're a person with black skin, you are a toilet. So what do you do to a toilet? The little girl is a toilet, okay, in the minds of the white supremacists. This is universal. That's what a black person is. You know, a urinal, a toilet, you know, a commode bowl. That's what that is walking down the street toward you. If you're white, you're taught that. That is nothing. That is something to be disdained. That's something to have off to the side somewhere. Jiffy John, I mean, a portable toilet hidden over there in the trees. Hide that thing. I mean, that toilet. I mean, that's not anything to, that's not a shrine or anything. That's something that you hide. And, you don't want people to see you going in there. All right? Okay. That's what these things that we have recognized, we call them in order to make them feel better. We call them people, but that's not what they really are. They are less than animals. Even the animals we bring out and parade in the streets and whatnot and show off. Okay? And we'll do a few of them like that, a few of our chosen ones. But basically, when you're looking at a black person, you are looking at a commode. Walking down the street, that's what that is. And what do you do to a commode? You treat it like it's a commode. End of story. See, black people have to see themselves the way that the white supremacists see us every day when they pass us on the street. Here comes a toilet. That's what that is, a walking toilet. And if I have to relieve myself, that's the thing that I'm going to do it in.
Wow. Whew. In those situations, what can we, or what do we learn, from that? Or how are we supposed to interpret that?
Interpret it just the way I thought it, I said it. See, when I walk down the street, I think that that's what they're thinking. Okay?
But does that make it true?
Exactly what they're thinking.
Okay.
If they're white supremacists, I shouldn't even be in existence. I'm just something that you tolerate in existence. I shouldn't even exist. I shouldn't be walking down the street taking up the sidewalk. That's why sometimes they almost walk right into you. I mean, move. My goodness. I'm a white person. Get out of my way. You're not supposed to be on this planet, Negro.
And so there are certain numbers of males that obviously feel this way within the Panamanian culture, but I make this point relating to this topic. There are quite a number of women within various sections of the Panamanian culture that have this racism hatred of numbers of males within within the American Black culture. And it's not going anywhere on that, right? It's just like this particular woman within the Panamanian culture. I wanted to actually show something here. 1 second here. Let me remove this first. Give me 1 second.
And then everyone's called a white supremacist. I'm sorry, but we're not white supremacists. Well, I guess I'm not. Yes, I am, because the term nowadays, white supremacist, means you're a patriot. So I have a sign that I do carry sometimes, and I say proud white supremacist, because a white supremacist is a patriot. And I don't appreciate defining people by their race, by their sex, by their beliefs, by their values, etc. We are all Americans, and I think coming with a resolution like that divides our city even further. And I don't appreciate the suggestion. And I had no intent to speak, but now I'm not. So anyway, thank you very much.